What happens when a voyage of conquest turns into an unthinkable nightmare? When incompetence at the top leads to betrayal, and betrayal leads to an abyss of human depravity? Today, we're diving into one of the most infamous true stories of survival. A story so dark, so horrifying, it became an international scandal and inspired one of the world's most famous paintings. This is the tragic, brutal, and utterly true tale of the wreck of the Medusa. Our story begins in 1816, post Napoleonic Wars. France is eager to reclaim its colonial territories, and so the frigate Medusa set sail for Senegal, carrying soldiers, colonists, and high hopes. But there was a problem, a fatal flaw from the very beginning. The ship's captain, Viscount Auguste de Chamarays was an aristocrat, a political appointee who hadn't commanded a ship in over 20 years. His experience was non existent, his judgment catastrophic. Chamaray's incompetence quickly revealed itself. He pushed the Medusa too fast, too close to the West African coast, ignoring the warnings of his most experienced officers. And inevitably, on July 2nd, the Medusa slammed into a sandbank 50 miles from shore, stranded and trapped. For 3 agonizing days, they tried to free the ship, but it was useless. The hull began to break apart. With nearly 400 people on board, a terrifying reality dawned. There weren't enough lifeboats, not even close. The decision was made. The captain, his officers, and the wealthy passengers would take the 6 lifeboats. But what about the remaining 147 souls? Mostly soldiers, sailors, a few women, and a few children. Their solution? A hastily constructed, flimsy, massive raft. It had no sails, no steering, and it was barely buoyant. The plan, they said, was for the lifeboats to tow the raft to shore. A glimmer of hope amidst the panic. But that hope was short-lived. Only a few miles into the journey, the unthinkable happened. The tow ropes were cut. Whether by accident or intentionally to save themselves from the burden of the raft, we may never know for sure. But the outcome was unambiguous. The lifeboats sailed away, leaving 147 human beings to drift alone on a crowded, sinking raft in the vast, unforgiving ocean. What unfolded next defies imagination. The raft was immediately a hellscape, standing shoulder to shoulder, chest deep in water, crammed together under the blistering sun by day and freezing spray by night. That very first night, chaos erupted. People were washed overboard by waves, others crushed in the surging mass of bodies. By morning, 20 were gone. 20 gone, and they hadn't even truly begun the journey into darkness. Days bled into one another. They had almost no food. A few casks of wine, quickly consumed, only accelerated their descent into madness. Starvation, dehydration, sunstroke, and the sheer terror began to strip away all semblance of humanity. By day 4, the inevitable happened. Mutiny. The lower ranks, desperate and delirious, turned on the officers and remaining passengers. It wasn't just a fight. It was a drunken, brutal melee. Swords, knives, fists, an unimaginable struggle for survival on a floating graveyard. Dozens more were slaughtered, their bodies falling into the sea. The sun continued to beat down. The ocean stretched endlessly around them. By day 7, only a handful of survivors remained. They were skeletal, their minds shattered. It was then, according to the chilling accounts, that they resorted to the unspeakable. The bodies of the past, once thrown overboard, now became their only sustenance. But the horror didn't stop there. On day 8, a new, even more chilling decision was made. With resources still dwindling and fearing their own imminent demise, the remaining survivors collectively made a pact. They decided to unalive the weakest among them, to throw the sick and the weak overboard, to conserve what little they had left for the strongest. They actively chose who would live and who would not. 13 days. 13 days of absolute hell. Then, a miracle. The French brig Argus, by sheer chance, spotted the wretched raft. Of the 147 souls abandoned, only 15 were still alive. And 5 of those 15 passed within days of their rescue, their bodies simply unable to recover from the ordeal. When the survivors finally returned to France and shared their horrifying accounts, it ignited a monumental scandal. It exposed the grotesque incompetence of the monarchy, the corruption, and the ultimate price paid by ordinary people for aristocratic privilege. The nation was gripped by horror and outrage. And out of this tragedy came one of the most powerful and enduring works of art in history. Théodore Géricault's masterpiece, The Raft of the Medusa, now a centerpiece in the lore, immortalizes this unimaginable descent into desperation. It's a stark, visceral portrayal of human suffering, hope, and despair, a testament to what we are capable of, for better or for worse, when pushed to the absolute edge. It's a mirror held up to society, questioning leadership, responsibility, and the very nature of humanity itself. So, what are your thoughts on this incredible yet horrifying true story? Let me know in the comments below. And if you found this video compelling, please like and subscribe and share for more deep dives into history's darkest corners. Thank you for watching.